Yo, in today's video I'm going to be explaining everything you need to know to be a tap strafing master in Apex Legends. I'm going to show how to tap strafe, variants and other movement you can do through tap strafing, how to make use of it in game, and how to counter it. This video will be useful to you whether you've never tap strafed before in your life or if you're someone who is ready for advanced techniques. Tap strafing is probably the most useful and most important movement technique to know inside of Apex. It works through a combination of quick forward inputs, and because of how the source engine works, each time the move forward key is pressed, it slightly changes the direction of your momentum. Stack enough of these forward inputs and you can do movement completely impossible otherwise. Because you need so many forward inputs in quick succession, it really helps to bind move forward to scroll wheel, as well as W. It pretty much automates the process and makes it so much easier than actually tapping the W key. To do the basic original tap strafe, you start by doing a slide jump and holding a directional key, so either A or D. In midair, you let go of W and scroll wheel while flicking your mouse in the direction you want to go. So if you want to tap strafe left, you would hold A and quickly flick your mouse left. And to tap strafe right, you would hold D and quickly flick your mouse right, all while scrolling on the mouse. Each of your hands has two jobs to do. The keyboard hand releases W and then presses either A or D. The mouse hand scrolls and then flicks in the direction you want to go. If you're struggling to get it down, make sure you're releasing the W key before you are scrolling, and also make sure you're turning your mouse enough to get that sharp change in momentum. The more you move your mouse, the sharper you will turn, up to a complete 180-degree turn. The reason I say tap strafing is the most useful movement tech in Apex is because it allows you to get such a sharp change in direction while still retaining all your momentum, which is useful in almost every situation. If you're running away from an enemy to heal or because you're low HP, you can use tap strafing to break lines of sight, get around corners quickly, and create more of a separation between you and an enemy. You can really just use it as a tool to take less damage, because it's super unpredictable for enemies trying to track you. You can throw in a tap strafe in between shotgun shots to break someone's ankles, dodge bullets, or, my personal favorite, to reload while you're being shot at. The reason why tap strafing is so controversial is because it feels impossible to counter. It's why it was almost removed from the game and why controller players hate it. There is, however, something you can do to counter tap strafing. That is to simply not shoot someone when they tap strafe. I know, it's nothing revolutionary or fancy, but it works. The weakness of tap strafing is that you cannot shoot while you do it, and you will have a delay for pulling out your gun or pretty much doing anything right after it too. So you kind of have to play into this to counter it. If you see your opponent go into a tap strafe, don't try to keep shooting. Instead, track them through the air and shoot them when they land and are vulnerable. By trying to shoot someone in a tap strafe, you empty a clip onto a target that is almost impossible to track. And then when they land, you are the one at a disadvantage, because now you have to reload or swap weapons. Having the trigger discipline to just pause and shoot someone after the tap strafe is what gives you the advantage. Because if you think about it, what is the whole point of tap strafing? It's to make yourself harder to hit and take less damage, and it works very well. So by simply just waiting to shoot an opponent who is tap strafing, you essentially make their tap strafe completely useless. Tap strafing can be used for more than just avoiding bullets though. When you can do it successfully, tap strafing completely opens up what you can do with movement. It pairs with a lot of other movement techniques to create a more advanced, better version. For example, you can use a tap strafe in combination with a wall bounce to skip the wall climb animation. To do this, you start with a normal wall bounce. Slide jump into a wall, release W as you hit the wall, and jump out of it. If you don't know how to wall bounce consistently, then I would advise you get that down before you try this. Right as your character is leaving the wall is where you want to start the tap strafe. All it takes is 3 inputs: a directional input, scroll wheel, and a mouse flick. It's just the second half of the tap strafe. Honestly, all of these other movement techniques are pretty easy if you have the basic tap strafe down. You just have to put them together with other techs. Knowing this trick will allow you to bypass most of the climbable walls on the map, and skip that pesky wall climb animation. You can also use a tap strafe into a wall bounce to completely outplay an opponent. If I wanted to wall bounce around this little wall in the firing range for example, it would not be possible. My character just doesn't turn quick enough to do it. To make this possible, I can tap strafe right by pressing D, scrolling up, and quickly flicking my mouse, and then perform the wall bounce like normal. This is a pretty extreme example though. You can use it any time you can't get a wall bounce normally, like if you slide parallel to the wall and then decide you want to get a wall bounce. It's basically stacking a tap strafe and then a wall bounce, which gives you a very unpredictable double strafing pattern. You change directions twice in the air, once from the tap strafe and once from the wall bounce. This obviously makes you very hard to hit, and is a great move to outplay an opponent or simply make your wall jumps less predictable. It's impossible for me to make this video and not include tap strafing off of Octane's jump pad. When you take a jump pad, you are extremely exposed to being shot out of the air with no defense. Even the double jump only continues your momentum. There's never a time when you can change directions or pivot to avoid being shot, but that's why we have tap strafing. You begin by taking the jump pad as normal. The tap strafe begins by using your double jump. Then you go through a tap strafe as normal, pressing a directional key, scroll wheel, and flicking the mouse. So the order of the keys should be spacebar, then A or D while simultaneously scrolling and turning the mouse. As always, make sure you are releasing the W key when you do this. You can use this trick in game to change direction anytime you take a jump pad. You can also use it to deceive enemies, get away, or reach places you otherwise wouldn't with the jump pad. I still have a few more useful tap strafe techniques left, but since I already explained the key combinations of tap strafing, I'm going to stop for these remaining ones to avoid being repetitive. Anytime I say tap strafe, just know I'm referring to the exact sequence of keys I talked about earlier. To do it, you bunny hop, which is a jump when you hit the ground combined with a forward input. Immediately after you leave the ground is where you want to add the tap strafe. Alternating between moving left and right after each hop will make for the best strafe. The hardest part of doing this is timing the W key because you have to make sure you're pressing it as you hit the ground to not lose momentum, but then releasing it right after in order to tap strafe. If you have jump bound to scroll wheel, which is what I recommend, then you will be alternating between quickly scrolling up and then quickly scrolling down. You'll see most people use this tech on Octane because stimming makes it so you can carry out the strafe for longer. There was a time when this strafe was taking over Apex, and it's still just as powerful today. Another powerful and meta trick that pros and high level players make use of consistently is tap strafing in Gibraltar's bubble. Anytime there's a bubble down and you are on the other side of it looking at an enemy, you can run in and then quickly tap strafe out again. This will bait your enemy to either step into the bubble or waste a bullet by trying to shoot you. If you play any ranked at all, you should know this trick, but it's also just a great thing to know regardless. The next one I actually learned from Fade, which is the reverse wall bounce. He uses it all the time and even featured it on his own movement guide. It's similar to the skip wall climb animation tech in that it is a tap strafe out of a wall bounce. The only difference is that you do a full 180 tap strafe, so you end up facing the way you approach the wall. That's why I call it a reverse wall bounce. As always, you start with a slide jump into the wall, execute a normal wall bounce, and tap strafe out right after. Make sure to really whip your mouse around so you get the full 180. This move is more flashy than some of the other ones I've mentioned, but it can be really useful when there's someone on your back. You can do this and it will completely surprise them. Also, to do with wall bounces, you can use this trick for immediate wall bounces. When I say immediate, I mean you don't have to slide jump into it, or really have any momentum going in whatsoever. All you need to do is jump and then tap strafe in the direction of the wall before doing the wall bounce. The tap strafe is what makes it so you have the momentum to do a wall bounce instead of just falling to the ground when you hit the floor. You can do wall bounces at a moment's notice in the middle of fights without your opponents coming close to expecting it. It gives you all the advantages of a wall bounce without the setup or predictability. So there it is, a full in-depth guide on tap strafing in Apex Legends. If you have any questions about how to do anything I shared, leave it in the comments down below, as well as if there's something I left out. If you learned something new or enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. If you want to continue improving your movement or any other part of Apex Legends, visit my channel and I can guarantee it will help you out. With that being said, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.